Hello and welcome to Industry Spotlight with Creative First. Our guest today is Vineet Karnik, Managing Director of Content, Entertainment and Sports at WPP Media. Vineet, welcome to this discussion.
Hi, hi. Thanks for having me on the show, Lovita. It's great.
So, since the last time we spoke, Vineet, how has the diversity in the sports ecosystem shaped your views across what you do in terms of content, entertainment, and sports?
Lots has changed, and lots hasn't actually, because cricket still is the biggest sport in India. Having said that, the way we consume sports has changed. More importantly, there are a lot of action in the entire community sports or participative sports as we call, like for example, you have a pickleball, you have a paddle today. Marathons are doing extremely well. So I think the change in the conversation is, I think when we spoke last, we would have spoken about kabaddi, we would have spoken about football,
Yes.
hockey, and so on and so forth. But today, I think what has done exceedingly well are the community sports. And if you actually walk across in any city today in India, whether it is morning 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., you will see a lot of communities coming together to run today. So I think that's the reason why marathons are doing well. While paddle and pickle are the big four, big six cities phenomenon at this point in time, but still catching up very, very fast. So if you look at Mumbai, you look at Bangalore, Delhi NCR, even Calcutta, I think the pickleball paddle courts are coming. New courts are being coming every week, every month. So these are some of the newer sports, newer avenues for sports to embrace and see how they can scale up. So that's from a sport perspective. From a content perspective, obviously, lots have changed because obviously today the OTTs are doing extremely well. Connected TV are the flavor of the season, and obviously growing. So if you look at the IPL numbers this year, the numbers on TV versus CTV, and that's where you will see the difference, right? And that's the content consumption habit that we are seeing as change. I think over the last 8 to 9 months, we have also seen micro dramas which are mushrooming a lot, and there are a lot of audience aggregation happening there. And if you know what micro dramas is, I mean, these are small bite-sized contents. I mean, you have 50 episodes, 100 episodes of 2 minuters, 4 minuters, 5 minuters, and that's catching momentum. So a lot of creative work happening there. A lot of brands are actually curious to know how they can engage with consumers through micro dramas. Who are the consumers? Where are they? What are they watching? And these are some of the trends that we are seeing over the last couple of years, Lohita, and that's possibly answers the question in terms of what's the difference between the last time we spoke and now.
What defines a successful sports IP today?
That's a loaded question. I think. I think what most people in India have done is they've just taken IPL and started a league. Okay, I don't think that's the right model. First, because
Right.
a couple of things. It's not only about selling teams, about having owners, having franchises. That's not what the takeaway is. I think the takeaway is about the quality of players, the quality of sport that happens in the middle, the entire ecosystem of fans, because are fans ready to watch a Premier League? So, for example, while I spoke about pickle and paddle, both of these sports have their leagues, and but they haven't taken off the way IPL or cricket took off, right? It's a slow
Right.
burn right now, and I think one of the reason is, I think, and I have a strong feeling that leagues in India are happening very prematurely. I think the sport needs to mature first. the fan base, the communities have to aggregate first for a league to happen and unlock, right? Because make no mistake, I mean, if we speak about IPL, and that's the comparison, if at all, IPL happened after 30 years of serious marketing and thrust that BCCI and a lot of other partners put into the sport for IPL to succeed. But what has happened with the newer sport is the sports are popular, people are playing it, uh, but before a fan base being engaged, fan being coming together, I think we have launched those leagues, and therefore those leagues are not able to aggregate audiences on TV or streaming. And unless and until you have that audience aggregation happening on these platforms, it's very difficult for these leagues to monetize to the extent that they would like to, right? So that's a slow burn. And if you see, look at Kabaddi, look at ISL, when it happened, the audience was ready for these sports, and therefore the commercial aspects of these sports also were very, very healthy pre-COVID. That's the other story, that COVID literally, hit them hard because they were on a growth trajectory, and obviously with COVID, everything paused at that point in time. So now they are also at the rebuilding stage. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think you need to have a very strong audience communities to get together first. You need to fill the seats in the stadium first for people to watch it on devices like television, mobile, or any other platform for that matter. So that's I think the difference that we see between cricket and other sports, and that's actually the formula in place. You need to have patience. You need to build the sport bottom up, aggregate audiences, get them to play, get them to sample it on various different channels, and then possibly launch a league. So that's one part. Second important part is about how are you generating interest through content in the leagues, right, today, because most of the content today is consumed on social media. What is your social media strategy to reach out to your audiences so that they get triggered with, and their interest develops, they start playing, they start following, and eventually that when I spoke about aggregation of audience, this is where the aggregation of the audience comes together. So these are some of the things that possibly needs to be done before you actually start a league.
So to promote and to actually make a sport more community driven, how do you think artificial intelligence can really contribute to that? And not only just that, but even basic sports marketing, building, and sports IP.
So yeah, of course. I mean, I understand the reason why you asked the AI question, because without an AI question, there is no conversation which is complete today. But I think the use of AI today should be from a sport perspective, should be more from a performance analysis perspective.
Right.
And how do you build from there, and how do you actually enrich technology to possibly engage or interact with consumers is, I think, a great starting point. So AI can enhance performance techniques.
Yes.
The rest of the technology can enhance the way fans consume that particular sport. Both coming together possibly can create magic. So that's one. Now we spoke about content quite a lot, right? Now AI and tech itself can tell us what kind of a content consumers are liking. So if we can take that measure of listening from social media and give audiences the kind of content that they're enjoying or they're wanting more, is another way of using tech to see how what kind of a content should I be creating for what kind of a sport or what kind of athlete. So I think there is a very distinct use of AI and tech, and if both can come together, I think magic can happen.
You earlier spoke about, today pickleball and paddleball are being played at the grassroots level from, cities, probably urban areas. And then you also spoke about IPL, but we all know that, a lot of us played cricket right from the time we were, children or kids. And these are all new sports, or equipment was not available earlier. Now, given the challenge that there has to be audience engagement. There may not be that much of grassroots level engagement because not that pickleball and paddleball are being played. If one has to create a strong sporting IP for these new formats, what would be the ideal approach?
See, like I said, the ideal approach will be to build a grassroots level movement, okay, for the sport. Because see, what happens is, see, why does people watch a sport on TV or on streaming, okay, or on their mobile phones? Why do they do it? Because they resonate with the people who are playing that sport, right? I mean, I don't think there is any sport in the world where there are no superstars in the league and the leagues are big, right? People follow the sport because of the celebrity players, right? The talent who plays in the middle, right? I mean, and we are actually right now in the middle of FIFA in the US and
Yes.
in North America, and I think the matches which will garner maximum eyeballs and maximum ticket sales on stadium are the big matches where big stars are playing. So I think we need to spend time in building those superstars in any sport that we are talking about, whether it is paddle, whether it is pickle, whether it is badminton, football, doesn't really matter. Unless and until you create those superstars, so superstars also inspire people, right? I mean, I think, I mean, if you look at cricket as an example, whether it is Sunil Gavaskar, Kapil Dev, Sachin Tendulkar, these people, these athletes inspired generations to come, and that's the reason why you actually got hooked onto that sport and you started following that sport. And so I think, tell me one player that you remember from Indian football or from Indian kabaddi or pickleball
Yes.
or paddle. If you don't have answer to that question, I would question the reason for any audience to follow that sport or that particular league. So unless and until you're building stars, your audience or your fans, the way you want to define them, it's very difficult for them to connect with that sport. So that's, I think, the first and foremost job of the federation or the league owner who's building that league.
And in your opinion and experience, how does it work with brands? Because I would think that if you get a top brand to endorse a particular sport, I think then the player and the superstar and the sport in itself is in the making. Like we've seen what has happened with Nike and Adidas endorsing sports. How do you think we can kind of make that happen for these new formats?
Okay, let me give you a example which is a little different. Okay, let me give you an example from a lens of a talent. Okay, so let's talk about this athlete who's the flavor of the last 2 months, and his name is Vaibhav Suryavanshi. Okay,
Yes.
I don't think not too many people would have known Vaibhav Suryavanshi before he played under 19 World Cup, right? Now he played in World Cup, he performed there. Then comes IPL, he performs there. Today he has got a queue of brands wanting him as their brand endorser. Okay, why did it happen? It happened because of his performance, his ability to connect with audiences. Right. This is the same answer to any league. Okay,
Right.
you need to have ability to connect. Okay, the moment you have an ability to connect with audiences, advertisers will follow. Okay, if you remember, IPL when it started in 2008, I don't
Yes.
think it was as popular as it is today from an advertising fraternity, right? It was a slow burn. Year one, year two, year three, it started building up. So it is a function of popularity. Okay, Vaibhav Suryavanshi became popular from under 19 World Cup, and now obviously in IPL, his entire the content that his team created for him, whether it was pre-IPL or during IPL through Rajasthan Royals handle, that content was so relatable
Yes.
that his personality as a cricketer, as a batter, was very clearly shown on the field, and personality as Vaibhav Surya as an individual, as a person off the field. So therefore, consumers will follow the sport if the sport has the talent who they would want to adore, who they would want to, who they get inspired with, and therefore that's how you build popularity. Okay, so that's my way of looking at the sport, and no sooner you have audience aggregation, as we spoke, okay, advertisers will come, because eventually the job of a brand is to reach out to its target consumer in the most effective and efficient way, and no better platform than a sport. As
Yes.
long as you are able to unlock that potential of that cult following and that inspiration that sports or the athletes in the sports that are bringing to the audiences.
In addition to, what you said, the social media play, how do you build year-round engagement, not just event buzz?
Now that's again a very, very good question, and I think there is a lot of headroom for us to catch up in that in cricket as well. So I mean, if one thing I have to call out in terms of what can cricket do better is a year-long engagement. So for example, today the calendar of Team India is so busy that something or the other is happening. So that's live sport. Okay, that's live cricket, whether it's bilaterals or whether it is ICC-driven tournaments. Cricket is relevant through the year through some kind of a tournament or championship at some point in time at somewhere in the world. Having said that, if you look at IPL as an example, it's a 60-day event, right? I think in the balance year, I think that there's not too much happening in IPL, right? Therefore, I think the content that we curate through social media today is going to be the biggest promoter of that sport or of that league or of that individual as an athlete. So I think the content creation should be strategic to any sport, any athlete, any platform today. And the moment we have a strategy for content, which is a year-long strategy outside of the peak season, I think that's going to be the formula to create magic. So I think content strategy, I would say digital content strategy is going to be the very, very key ingredient of making sure that the sport is relevant in the off season.
So, keeping in mind the amazing digital content strategy that your organization under your leadership puts out, and at the same time, you're looking at attention of eyeballs, at the same time, also keeping in mind that the new formats may not be that evolved, like you said, champions, etc. How do you feel if you've given a new format to promote? What is the best possible way with this cricket taking all the attention throughout the year? And now even women's cricket is becoming very popular.
Absolutely. And you actually said it absolutely well. If you take example of women cricket, okay, it was not as popular as it is today. But I think what the trigger point or the inflection point for women cricket was Women's Premier League, WPL as we call it, right?
Yeah.
And the kind of content that it generated and that made our girls as popular and as household names as our men's, right? I think therefore I would want to believe that if your content strategy is right, it's very well thought through. Your distribution platforms are in the right place. I think there is merit in looking at any sport for that matter, whether it is pickleball, paddle, football, kabaddi, badminton. I think content should play a very, very important role in popularizing athletes, talent, and that sport eventually. So today, I would say, while the actual real sport is very, very important in the way it's played, but equally important is the content that you're able to generate in throughout the year, in season, off season. I mean, I give you the example of Vaibhav Suryavanshi, right? I think kudos to the social media team of Rajasthan
Yes.
Royals to have created a fabulous engagement with Vaibhav through the season. Okay.
Yes.
And I think there's lots to learn from there. Okay. So therefore, I would say 50% when you're starting a league, focus on content, focus on entertaining content, focus on bringing those values through your athletes, which will resonate with people, which will inspire people for them to start following them.
If you were to build a sports IP today, where would you start?
I would first start at an absolute grassroots level, okay, and I would start creating content from the grassroots level, because the job at hand is not only to familiarize the players, okay, it's also about familiarizing the sport itself, the rules of the sport. Why are we so engaged with cricket today? Because I think as Indians, we possibly have a point of view on every appeal, every third umpire review, every
Yes.
LBW appeal, every cotton board appeal, because we as Indians understand the sport thoroughly. I think it is the job of the federation, it is the job of the organizer of the IP or the event to familiarize people, audiences with every little aspect of that sport. And I would actually do that. I would take the advantage and the following of social media today and possibly curate content pieces around familiarizing and creating nuance around that sports from a content perspective. Parallelly, I would create heroes, and the reason why one should follow those athletes, whether it is men or women, doesn't really matter, because today I think most leagues today, I would want to promote, should have a women's league as well, or a women's sport also, because today when you look at, cricket is going to be in Olympics very very soon, okay, and today I think our women athletes are no less than men. So therefore, I think it's equal, promoting equally both the formats is going to be very very important. So I would start with grassroots, start building stories through content, and slowly build communities before I actually start a league and start investing and looking at the sport from a commercial angle, because you need to mature that sport before it becomes commercially viable for us.
To conclude, what role can federations and even the sports ministry play to, achieve whatever you said? Because I'm sure the brands are committed, the federations to, large extent, they're promoting a sport are committed, the players are. But what more can be done, probably at the policy level, at the welfare level, at making it easier to play sports, probably?
I think first and foremost, I think the federations will have to embrace a very very professional approach towards building a sport. Okay,
Right.
currently I don't see that in most federations. Okay,
Could you give us some global examples just to, reiterate,
okay.
vis-a-vis
I think global examples would be little unfair, Loita. I can give it to you, but it's a little going to be unfair because global examples don't directly talk about federations, because
Sure.
I think global examples come from their entire education system. Okay,
Right.
today whether it is most developed markets in the West
Mhm.
actually embrace sport at a school and college level. So therefore, I think the job of federation there becomes very, very easily. The job of federation there becomes only about governance and administration, because the sport popularization happens at a school and a college level. So when a student, whether it's a boy or a girl, comes out of the college or a university, there is a cult following of the sport of his or her choice already, right? So therefore, what federation needs to do is just do governance, create those leagues and create those tournaments where people fans can go and participate, right?
Right.
In India, it's a little different, okay, because we don't have such a robust structure from a school and university, but because we don't adopt sport at a university or a school level. In the US or in the UK, in Australia, you need to choose a sport or two as a part of your curriculum. And that's how you build the affinity and interest and fan base towards that particular sport. And therefore, you will see most of those markets will have at least two or three sports who are doing extremely well. So in India, coming back, what is important is to have the right governance, have the right professional govern the sport, and create a grassroots level movement in such a way that it actually reaches out to our villages, to our cities in a way that it inspires people. Yeah. So a lot of work to be done, serious amount of work to be done, because there's so much of headroom for us to grow. Because I just can't believe that for India as a population of 140 crore people, you just have one sport which is commercially successful. I'm fairly confident that we have got lots of room and lot of potential to unlock from a business of sport perspective. It's all about the right governance. It's all about the right approach towards grassroots. It's all about bringing those heroes to forefront, celebrating them in the right way, and create structures which unite India from a sport perspective, where they start following the sports, start getting inspired by that sport, and that's how you unlock the potential of the commercial aspects of that sport. What we have done is we have straight away jumped into the commercial aspects of it, and that's the struggle that we see in most of the sports other than cricket today.
How do you think industry can better, promote government initiatives like Halo India? I think that the initiative itself was to promote sports at the grassroots level. Maybe the framework was new and maybe it still needs to be integrated, but how can we further initiatives such as that?
I think Khelo India is a great initiative, and it comes from the top, from our honorable Prime Minister. So it's a
Yes.
fantastic initiative, and it's an initiative which is well received as well. I think Fit India movement also is another initiative which is a fabulous initiative. I think what we need to do is we need to actually link Khelo India with schools and colleges and universities for it to really see the potential. Because see what typically happens. Imagine, let's take an example of say Mumbai. Okay, if there are 5 schools or 10 colleges, and our students are participating in Khelo India. Okay, and if that's promoted well, I think the community around them. Okay, whether it is South Mumbai or suburbs, or whether it is central Mumbai or western Mumbai or Navi Mumbai for that matter. Okay, the communities will start following, because the local boy or the local girl is playing in Khelo India, and that's the pride which a community will take. I think we need to market these elements for the communities to come together and start following Khelo India. It's not only about participation is done. Okay, the structure has been put up. How do you get communities to follow Khelo India? And when I say communities, communities beyond families of students or children who are participating in Khelo India. How do you bring the uh, entire community, say a South Mumbai or a suburbs in Mumbai, or Navi Mumbai, to root for those people who are in that area? I think that cult following, the day it comes, I think Khelo India also will become one of the most celebrated properties. It's a great start. The beginning has happened. Okay, I think we will evolve with time and see how best participation and support can be generated at a real mass level and a grassroots level.
Vineet, you've offered a fascinating look at what it takes to build a successful sports IP today. Thank you so much for sharing such practical and forward-looking insights.
Great. I'm glad you liked it. I hope the your viewers also like it. And eventually, I think there is a lot of scope, Loita, and we should
Yes,
keep talking about these things, because only if we keep engaging and talking about these things is when
yes.
those ideas can, get exchanged. Otherwise, it just becomes a very difficult situation for us to manage when the problem is on table. I think we need to solve the problem before it comes on table, rather than it just coming bang on us. So great,
Sure.
great. Thanks
Thank
for
you so
this
much, Vineet.
conversation. It was a pleasure.